It's a beautiful Saturday, and I'm saying it's a beautiful Saturday because it's very, I would say the weather is very cool and calm and collected, as we say in the game of football. Welcome to Off the Pitch. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and like always, I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by Augustine. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's a pleasure to be here. We return all the glory and honor to the Most High God for the gift of life and good health. And I would like to thank the viewers out there that have tuned in to watch the show.
To the viewers who are always glued, we say thank you for giving us all the support that we are getting from you. And for all those who are not home, you can call them because they can also watch us live. That's on our Facebook page, Camnet TV, and you can follow us. That's on our Facebook page, Camnet, like it, and you'll be able to watch us live. What an interesting week we've had, Augustine, in terms of the game. And I heard someone some time back to say, why is it that all the time there's always Zambia? Maybe today we just have to do a snapshot in terms of the game that was played against Tunisia, which we got the result that we never expected. Any disappointing result, or you were expecting that result?
I think it was much expected. I think traveling to North Africa, it's not as an easy hunting ground for any country in the Sub-Sahara. I think Zambia have always struggled against North African oppositions because in the way they play their game. I think the intensity that they bring to the game, the physicality, I think we've always found it hard as the Chipolopolo, and the result in Tunisia, I think, didn't come as a surprise because we have always struggled, especially when you play the North Africans away from home. At least when we are playing at home, we have got a chance, and it's been an eventful week, like you have said. We saw Green Buffaloes women's team being crowned the champions of the Women's Super League. I think that was very interesting because it was the inaugural, and GBFC have been playing very well. Red Arrows were chasing them close, but they came up short. I think it showed as the league was progressing, because Red Arrows and GBFC, remember, they contributed a lot of players to the Olympics and to the COSAFA team, so they had a lot of games in hand, and both teams were trying to play catch up to Zesco United and Usada, who are the early pace setters at the start of the league. But eventually the side which had got a very huge squad in GBFC came out victorious and won the league. Congratulations to GBFC women's team.
So the question that we have today, even for our viewers who are there watching, what's next for BESTONE Championship and the men's national team, Augustine, after that disappointing result that we got? I don't know what happened. 3 goals in the first half. Who would you blame?
I think if you look at the way we were set up against the North Africans, giants Tunisia, starting probably Dixon Japa in that game looked to be a wrong move by Quicksilver. But if you look at Dixon Japa's performance at home against Tunisia, I think Quicksilver would have been tempted to start Dixon Japa. So I think if you look at the way we performed, I think defensively we were all over the place. We didn't defend well. I think in the game against Mauritania at Hero Stadium, we kept on talking about Simon Sirim, but I think to me he hasn't had game time at Zesco United, and he was always the weak link even in the game against Mauritania. We thought that they could have worked on him to try and defend a little bit better, but he was always in no man's land. I think Simon Sirim, but together with Prosper Chilwell on the left-hand side, he found it very hard in North Africa. He had a very good game here against Mauritania, but in North Africa, he didn't look very confident when he was on the ball in the final third. He wasted a lot of balls. Defensively, he was found wanting. I think our backline, Tandy Mwape, I think I've been a little bit disappointed with his performances. I think I expected more from Tandy Mwape. Looking at the way he performed in the transition season, in which ended a move to TP Mazembe, you would have thought from that time Tandy Mwape would have been a dependable player by this time at the national team. But still, he looks like he's a rookie. Tandy Mwape, have a lot of confidence and in him, the way he's defending. I think he's just not doing the basics right. It was all about basics in the way we defended. I think we could have defended our box much better than we did in Tunisia. Dominic Chanda was probably the only decent player in our defense. He also had an average game. It's not that he had a very good game. It was just an average game, but at least he looked decent in the way he won his duels, the way he looked confident on the ball. I think it's something that going forward we really need to work on.
Looking at getting an equalizer via a spot kick from Fashion Sakala, Augustine, when you rate the two guys in Fashion Sakala in parts of Dhaka, did they deliver according to our expectation that day?
No, I think both of them were being fed on crumbs. I think even themselves individually, I think they didn't do enough. I felt they didn't try and come into the game more. I would have thought one of them would have been dropping deep to try and influence play, especially Fashion Sakala is skillful, he's got speed. He could have tried to link up play between the midfield and attack, but he didn't do that. I think probably it was the message that he was getting from the bench. They didn't have enough runs in behind the Tunisian defense. They didn't stretch the back four when they had the chance to. I think we had a couple of opportunities we could have hit Tunisia on the counter attack, but mostly when we were in the final third, I think Luambo Msonda picked up very good positions, but they didn't pick him. I think for whatever reason his teammates chose not to pick Luambo Msonda. They chose to pick the other players, but Luambo Msonda, I felt he was very intelligent in the way he was picking up space in the wide area and trying to attack, but we could have utilized him on the counter, but we didn't do that. Second half, I think we played a very good game. It was decent, not the best. When Cleans Kangwa came, he controlled the game. At least he got on the ball and passed it. He wasn't being passed around in central midfield like the way Dixon Chapa and Emmanuel Banda were being passed around in the central midfield. I think he got a foothold of the game, and we started slowly but surely growing into the game. It was a much better performance. That's why we didn't concede any goal in the second half. I think Cleans Kangwa is one player who wasn't part of this team initially, but after the injury to Enoch Mwepu, he's coming, and I think to me he's put his hand up to say that he's someone we can depend on, and he's been professional, if I have to be honest, because the frustration of being left out in the first place and just to be called up as a replacement, but he showed that he's a real professional. His attitude was spot on. I think it's something which if we get it right, these young players who are playing in Europe, I think the national team will get to the next level.
Okay, like as we conclude on this issue, Augustine, what's your take on the question that we have today? So what's next for BESTONE Championship, the Chipolopolo boys? Is it time, would say, they'll part ways, or should we still maintain BESTONE Championship and give him more time?
I think if you look at the way the Chipolopolo boys, their senior national team has been performing in the recent qualifiers, I think the last 3 or 4 qualifiers, we've always finished third. And we finished third this time around. It's not a surprise because our standards have dropped a little bit in recent years. And going in, looking forward, I think in the next 2 years, we haven't qualified for the AFCON, we haven't qualified for the World Cup, so we are not going to be playing any major tournament of any sort. So I would think this is the right time to make bold decisions by the Football Association of Zambia. I think, in my own opinion, I know the public would like to disagree. I think I would stick with BESTONE Championship, giving him a 2-year contract and see where it goes, because if you realize when BESTONE Championship took over from the side which Michu had left, there was no confidence, there was no enthusiasm. I think we played with no tempo, we were very defensive, our tactics were very negative. I think it was always going to be something had to change, because mostly performances were not there and results were not there under Milutin Soredoevich. But you saw BESTONE Championship come in, and we saw an improvement in performances. We saw some intensity in games that the Chipolopolo boys have played. We've played an attacking game. I think that's what the Zambia national soccer team is associated with, attacking football. In as much as we can lose, we've seen games where we lose 3-2. That's comfortable rather than going to lose 3-0 or 1-0. I think we would rather lose a game while we're trying to win it rather than being negative, being defensive, trying to get a draw. Quicksilver has brought in a life of attacking football in this team. He's brought in a group of young players who understand him and who he understands and know his style of play. I think going forward, we just need to work on the selection part. I think he needs to do better in the selection. I think there's some great areas in the way the national team is being selected. We've looked at maybe we need a couple of leaders back into this national team, maybe Nathan Sinkala in that holding midfield, but I think it's a place where we have been struggling very, very often. I think the holding midfield has always been questionable, where we do not have that midfielder who dictates tempos of the game and controls a football match at this high level. And at the heart of defense, I would rather we call back Stopiran Sunsu just for that leadership.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be the voice in that dressing room to tell the young lads where and where not to go. There are certain times whereby you are playing a game like against Tunisia. You can see that in the first 20 minutes we are very, very under pressure. I think if you have got an experienced player in there, you just tell the team, let's just be compact, let's sit back, soak up the pressure, and then we'll start to attack when we manage to weather this storm. I think we need such kind of leaders in that dressing room. And if you look back, I think in 2017 when Quicksilver was mostly with this team at the junior under 20 player, we played an attacking game of football. We were not very, very good defensively. We played an attacking game of football, played to our strength, and this is what Quicksilver is trying to implement with this squad. These boys know him very well. They know what he demands from them, and we just hope that we're just on the right path. Maybe try and bringing someone in the technical bench who will help on the defensive aspect, because everyone knows that Quicksilver is more of an attacking manager. Defensively, he doesn't give that much, but I think we can just try and work on it, try and bring someone who would try and work on defensive shape, try and improve it. And in under 20, you remember he had BESTONE Musonda, who has got a very, very good defensive organization. They can do the same.
Let's just speak a call, Augustine. Hello? Hello? I think we've lost that caller. Augustine, as you wind up on that, you've given your opinion and your thoughts to say it would be best to extend his contract by 2 years. But let's look at it. We extend his contract. What's next with Ghana? He lives in Ghana.
I think the association would need to negotiate with Ghana to have him full time for the Chipolopolo boys. I think we've seen these things happening. I think coaches move from club to club, from national team to national team. It wouldn't be a surprise if FAS approach Ghana for Quicksilver to go in full time.
And that's Augustine's opinion, to say we give Quicksilver I think a contract based on performance, but it has to be a 2-year contract. So you can call us and give us your own opinion as well if you feel like Quicksilver is the right man to lead us forward or to take us to the promised land. But as at now, we will just take a very, 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 very short break, and we'll be right back with more interesting issues. But before we go on a break, we'll just pick this call, Augustine. Someone wants to comment and contribute. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning, how are you?
We're okay, how are you? Your name and where you're calling us from?
I am calling from Muchipata compound of Victor.
Oh, okay, you can go ahead with your contribution.
My contribution over the performance of the Chipolopolo.
Yes.
I think when you look at the football, the player plays, they were trying to come up to from the where they started. Now, if we say we bring again maybe Sinkala, whatever, so we're going to play major tournament after maybe 2 years. Now, those people, they're going to play on the same level or what? So we need to continue with the very people give them the job there. Because they cannot look for a player where is in Ghana every time. Always they will just see the player in Ghana.
Yeah.
So we need to give him the job. If we think we cannot give him a job, let us look for somebody who's going to be permanently. That is my contribution.
So thank you very much, Mr. Victor. Have a very blessed day.
Thank you.
Just to react to Mr. Victor, I think he had very, very valid points. I think he's someone who you can see from what his comments
follows the game. Yeah,
he follows the game very, very well. I think he's brought up good points about Nathan Sinkala and Stopiran Sonzo. I think to me, my point bringing Nathan Sinkala and Stopiran Sonzo is not the long term. It's just a short term fix to just bring stability.
Even the motivation.
Back, yeah, just bring stability back to the team and to try and get back on the right track.
Yeah, like I said before we received that call, we were to go on a break, but I feel like maybe we touch a bit on this issue that the first president brought to say, come next season, the league, they want to introduce VAR, that's video assistance, if I'm not mistaken, referee. Augustine, this is something that we haven't seen, or I feel like this is something that would have helped in terms of African football, but this has failed to be implemented in terms of the African tournaments. I would say the qualifications that were played. If we had VAR, it would have helped in a lot of ways. But do you feel like we'll manage to introduce this in our league?
I think looking at the way the president come out, I think he's very, very confident that they will get this done and they will get some sponsorship in. But I think to me, is it really the route that we want to take at the moment in Zambian football where we are? I think I really think there are a lot of important issues that we need to address rather than going the route of VAR. VAR is a want, and we have got needs right now in Zambian football. Yeah. I think we need to invest that money into the youth structures if we have to get to the next level in terms of our football. We can channel that money to these football clubs, because if you look at our league, I think we've been crying out loud for the league to be delinked from the association. They haven't done that, the Football Association of Zambia. These are issues that they need to be addressing aggressively rather than starting to think about VAR. What does VAR improve football? I think it does not improve football. If the officiating is pathetic, it will continue being pathetic. I think to me, VAR will not improve our officiating. We need to see initiatives like they came up with coaching clinics. We need to see initiatives of trying to try and have a national youth league. I think those are the things that they need to be thinking about the Football Association at this time, not VAR. They are under a lot of pressure at the moment that they do not need such distraction of bringing in VAR. It's a waste of money in my own opinion, because VAR is very, very expensive. It's better we just stick to things that will help our game grow.
When we talk of VAR, like you said, there are a lot of things that needs to be implemented. When you say implemented, for us, I feel before we even start thinking of bringing VAR, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, do we televise all the games that are played?
Yeah, I think
this is something that needs to be looked into. All the games needs to be televised, and then we take a step further. I don't know how you look at it.
Yeah, VAR, the way VAR works, I think you do not need to have all the games being televised, because VAR is independent. They do not work hand in hand with the broadcasting. Yeah. They have got one of the requirements is you need to have 4 cameras at the stadium. That's the that's the minimum requirement for you to have VAR. You need to have 4 cameras at the stadium. You need to have a place where there will be the review, where they're doing the review
monitor.
Yeah, and then you need to have a VAR track which will have those VAR officials that will be looking at the game and telling the referees if they need to check something on VAR. So it doesn't necessarily mean that these games have to be broadcasted. No, they just have to have a minimum of 4 cameras at every stadium.
But if we fail to, that's where the question comes in, Augustine. We failed to televise all the games because of certain issues. But how can we have 4 cameras if we fail to televise games? Because I feel like if you have maybe about 3 cameras for a start, if we are failing, maybe 3 cameras are able to televise a game.
Yeah, I think it's in terms of the televising the game, it's a matter of the televising rights. I think if you look at the TV rights currently in the Zambian league belong to SuperSport. So SuperSport decides on how they want these games to be televised. I mean, you've seen they have got their own way of doing things, double headers and etc. So if we have to try, I think we need just to try and negotiate a better deal with SuperSport to try and televise all the game. But VR works without SuperSport televising.
Anyway, let's just speak this call, Augustine. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from, sir?
Okay, I'm calling from Ohio.
Come again, your name again?
Kanyanta James, coming from Ohio.
Oh, okay, you can go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Kanyanta.
Yes. I feel in the VAR
Uh-huh.
because the way the man is doing, I'm getting around there, so VAR, I'm sure will show like game that when kind of in Buffalo. It wasn't good. That game which was out there. If you have the VR, I'm sure the matter will be thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanyanta. That's Mr. Kanyanta giving his opinion in the discussion or the topic that we have for the VAR. He's saying it's a welcome move. But the question is, it's a welcome move, but are we able to attain it?
Yeah, I think Football Association of Zambia, I think for them to embark on this project, I think they have set their sights on who they will approach for sponsorship. I think you need a lot of sponsorship to come in because VAR is very, very expensive. We've seen countries who've tried to have VAR but have failed because it's been demanding. I think a Brazilian league is one of them. In Africa, I think we have it in North Africa. Morocco have got VAR in their league, but it's very, very expensive. If we have to be honest. And if you look at the money that comes with the VAR, if you invest it in youth football and other structures where we're lacking, I think we'll improve in terms of our game on the pitch rather than VAR. Yes, VAR is needed because we've seen some poor officiating in the league and points have been lost, teams being relegated because of poor officiating, and VAR would improve that. But VAR also leaves an awful lot to be desired because we've looked at it in Europe. It has brought a lot of controversy, if we have to be honest. I think yeah, in the near future, I think when our game gets back to the stable standards, I think we may need to have VAR, but at the moment I think VAR is a want and we have got needs in this country.
Would you say it would have helped on the game that brought a lot of issues on Facebook where the lineman had to say it's an offside and the referee blew to say it's a goal? Yeah,
I think it's one of those.
And it was on the last minute of the game.
Yeah, I think it was deemed to have crossed the line. Kansashi Dynamo was playing against Young Green Eagles, but if you look at it from the angle where we're looking at it, it's very, very difficult to judge whether it crossed the line or it did not, and it's a story for another day, if I have to be honest.
And we'll just take a very short break, but you can continue giving us those calls and comment on our Facebook page in terms of your view. But anyway, before we take a short break, we'll have a call. Let's just get this call. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I'm Brother Gaston. I'm watching a program about football, whatever.
Oh.
I can say Chambesi is a very good coach.
Okay.
Chambesi, let us support Chambesi. Chambesi is the best coach. Otherwise, if we can change another coach, we shall do that. I'm telling you, you improve in me.
So we give.
Let us just maintain Chambesi.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Banda.
Thank you very much.
Okay, okay. like I said, so we all have got different opinions, and that's Mr. Banda saying it's best to maintain Quicksilver. But we'll take a very short break and we'll be right back on the other side.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate, and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluwa with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chuluba are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
An interesting achievement that we saw within the course of the week, where we saw FIFA training the goalkeeper trainers, and they had it in a welcoming way to say it was something of an achievement, where they had to go through a process under FIFA where they were trained on how they can train their fellow goalkeepers. But anyway, it's just an update that we had to give you as we look into the games that were played in the course of the week. Augustine, I'll start with an interesting fixture that was played where Uncle Rapson was very excited to say, oh God, tomorrow I'm going to cover this double-header game. We saw a few Celtic hosting Green Buffaloes, and Friday Sam still banging goals for fun.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying top form Friday Sam at the moment. I think he did that, I think, in Namibia when he was playing for Tola Magic, and he's replicating that in the Zambian Super League, which is a very, very welcome move. I think GBFC will benefit from his goals. I think they'll try and get back to continental football at least, because that's their target, GBFC, to try and get back into continental football. And they were playing against a very youthful Kafue Celtic side who have been playing some decent football, and I always feel they're a little bit naive defensively. Going forward, they are very, very good. They are explosive. I think if they can just work on their defensive side of the game, they would stay up this season.
Kafue Celtic, that came from a 2-2 draw against Sudan, was going into this game suffering a loss via a penalty from Friday Sam. But anyway, we had Forest Rangers who managed to beat Indeni by 2-1. An interesting fixture that Coach Nebat, we were with him on set on Tuesday, and he said he was so eager to see this game. It was an interesting fixture for him.
Drama, I think drama at the Davis Stadium. Indeni took the lead through Kefa Sandavu, and Forest Rangers came back, I think, towards the end of the game, and got a 98 winner think through Eric Chomba. I think what they go from Eric Chomba from outside the 18-yard box. I think Forest Rangers, like we had said, they look decent, but if they can just stop conceding goals, I think they will be high up the top bill with the likes of Green Buffaloes. I think interesting enough, it was the return of David Chilufya at Indeni. He's gone back to the players who do not think. I think that's what he said when he was leaving his last game against Forest Rangers, eventually, which they lost. He said, "I cannot be coaching players who do not think." I think they're denting in his CV, but how come he has gone back to players who do not think very well? I think it's interesting. Zambian football. Indeni, they looked like they were going to run away with Victoria until towards the very end when Forest Rangers threw the kitchen sink at them. I think Clifford Muringa was very, very instrumental. He's a very intelligent player. I think he's one which the young upcoming lads should learn from. The way he approaches games, his intelligence, and the way he reads games, I think it's just on another level.
We had another interesting fixture where Power Dynamos managed to beat Kai Warriors by 2-0, and Nkwazi Augustine, Nkwazi are ever flying. They managed to beat Zanaco by 2-0.
Yeah, I think Nkwazi Football Club probably the best team this so far in the league. I think they have been playing some good football. Nkwazi, if you look at comparison with them and Lusaka Dynamos have gone to spend huge amounts on players. I think that's trying to buy success. If you look at Nkwazi on the other side, they're building very well, and they're on the right track. And if you look at what Makinka has done, I think at Nkwazi, I think that's an unbelievable job. If you consider the amount of money they spend in the transfer market, they go around the country looking for very, very raw young talent and bring them to the football club, polish them up, and you can see where it has gotten them. I think when Eric Chomba moved from Forest Rangers, you would have worried for Nkwazi who is going to get them the goals, but Makinka, being Makinka, I think he's done an unbelievable job again. He's managed to get this side playing a brand of football. They share the goals around the team. They do not depend on one player. There is no star player in that Nkwazi Football Club. They're all level-headed. I think they look at themselves being on the same level, not that this player is bigger than the other. I think that's one thing which you have to recommend Makinka doing at Nkwazi Football Club. He's done a very good job. I think you can see the likes of Steven Mutama, very underrated midfielder, but he's one of the best in our league. You have to be honest. I watched him a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and you would see that this player is a top player, but he just lacked consistency in his game. But he's different now. He's grown into a very mature player. Steven Mutama, he's very, very responsible, and he's one of those key players in that Nkwazi midfield alongside their captain Jeff Banda. They've been very, very good partners in that central midfield for Nkwazi, and they're a very, very tough side Nkwazi to beat because they are very organized. I think what you need to do as a coach is to make these players believe, understanding the way that you want, and you can see Makinka has gotten them to doing exactly just that. If I tell you, Makinka tells a Nkwazi player to say stand there for 10 minutes, the player will do that because they believe in Makinka and what is brought into this football club. If he tells them go and run into a brick wall for me, they will do that, these Nkwazi players, because they look up to him, they adore him. I think the way he's rotated players in that Nkwazi Football Club and still maintain the same levels of performance, I think it's unbelievable. He's one coach who does not fear dropping a player if they are not performing. You saw that with Eric Chomba. He was their star player last season, but when it didn't go right for them, they dropped them. They dropped Eric Chomba. They did the same with the goalkeeper Charles Muntanga. If performances are not coming, they'll drop them. So it gives it keeps every player on their toes to try and concentrate, to say the coach has got these demands that I think you can see with the young Bernard Kumwenda, very, very promising young lads, but sometimes you see him coming off the bench, sometimes he's given a start. I think Nkwazi, will do very, very well. They are one of those dark horses in this league, and will give them the benefit of doubt.
Controversy at Green Eagles. They managed to beat Kansanshi Dynamos a last minute goal in the 90th by Joseph Kanema, something that brought a lot of drama on social media, Augustine, and maybe that's where the VR thing came from.
Yeah, I think it's a game where Green Eagles really had to win because they hadn't won a game at home, and they were looking for their first home win against a Kansanshi Dynamos, who are very, very tricky on their day. I think if you go back to the game, Kansanshi dominated most parts of the game. They play some good attacking football. Green Eagles are always solid. They'll try and hit you on a counter, long balls into the box, and it was always going to be a long ball in behind. I think Osia Surimba winning the ball in central midfield, putting up a ball in behind the defense, and the goalkeeper, I think the mistake started with the Kansanshi Dynamos goalkeeper. I think, to me, why did he come out? I think he was in no man's land. I think he cost his team in the end, and Green Eagles controversially won it by 1-0, which took them into the top one. It's a boost for them going to the halfway of the season.
Saturday 20th November, we've got some exciting games even today, and I know from here Augustine is rushing at Ngoloma Stadium where there is a double header, and the first game is, we are seeing Green Buffaloes hosting Kongola Blades. Are we seeing Friday giving them a challenge?
I think it's very, very tricky. A stubborn Kongola Blades, we must say, they do not give away a lot of goals. They are very, very solid defensively, and they can pull up a surprise. I think you saw it at Sansi Stadium when they came and beat Sanako by 2-0. GBFC, they know it's going to be very, very tricky against Kongola Blades, but they need to start very, very quickly. They need to come out of the blocks earlier than Kongola Blades. I think they will need an early goal if they will need to control this game and eventually win it. It's a very, very tricky encounter. Sometimes we see Kongola Blades come into this game and get a draw because they are very, very well organized. They are very well drilled, and I expect them to try and sit back, soak up the pressure, and try and hit GBFC on the counter. But GBFC will just have enough for Kongola Blades this afternoon.
We saw it was it's Red Arrows versus Ngwazi that you've described to say they are very, very eager for points, and we saw it within the course of the week. It was Coach Chisimbewe's birthday. Would you say Red Arrows would give Chisimbewe an after birthday present by beating Ngwazi?
Yeah, I think they eventually gave him the present, I think, in the 1-0 win local derby against Lusaka Dynamos at Woodland Stadium. Veteran again, James Chamanga coming to the rescue for Red Arrows. And if you look at Red Arrows this season, I think they've been blowing hot and cold. I think there is a lot of inconsistency in their performances. They've been giving away lead cheaply. They haven't been scoring enough goals. I think the most goals they scored in a single game was the 2 goals they scored against Kafue Celtic. Eventually they went to draw 2-2. So if you look at this game, Ngwazi beat Red Arrows back-to-back last season. They won at Koloma Stadium by 2-1 and won at Edwin Imboela by 2-0. So it's going to be very, very tricky for Red Arrows again, coming up against this Ngwazi side who have been doing very, very well in recent weeks, and I feel it may just end in a draw because it will be very, very tight.
Coming to another interesting fixture where we are having Kawe Warriors hosting Lusaka Dynamos. The Lusaka Dynamos that's coming from a beating, who were beaten by Red Arrows, and the Lusaka Dynamos Augustine that has invested a lot. Are we seeing them getting any point?
I think if we have to be honest, looking at Lusaka Dynamos, they have been very, very disappointing. I think probably the most disappointing team so far. They haven't managed to win a game so far. Lusaka Dynamos, they only have draws. And if you look at the way they've been playing, I think the likes of David Obashi from Prison Leopards, we thought they are going to go to Lusaka Dynamos and hit the ground running, but it hasn't happened for them so far at Lusaka Dynamos. Lasa Kiala leaving Sensations Zanako, you thought that was a big signing for a team like Lusaka Dynamos who are trying to get into the top 4. You thought these are the kind of players who are going to take them the next step and go into continental football. They got Chitemwe, she was doing very, very well again at Prison Leopards. But it hasn't happened for whatever reason at Lusaka Dynamos. I think Lusaka Dynamos are really, really under pressure, and they may just find themselves in a dog's fight. I think they will be one of the teams that will be threatened for relegation come the end of the season if they do not rectify, if they do not put their house in order as soon as possible. They are playing against the Warriors side. Ian Bakala has got an agenda with Lusaka Dynamos. They are they let him go when probably he was the right man to take the team to the next level. And I personally feel Warriors will just be too strong for all Southern Dynamos.
Well, we've got at 15 hours again, we've got Indeni hosting BESTONE at the Trade Fair ground. How is Indeni going into this game having a new coach and coming from a lose? They were leading, but they were beaten. Is there any motivation in them having back their former coach who said, I want to go there? Are we seeing them providing an intriguing result?
I think it's going to be an interesting dollar derby. I think Indeni on the back of a defeat, a very, very painful defeat against Forest Rangers, another dollar derby which they led for large parts of the game. And if you look at BESTONE, they are coming from a victory, beating Chambeshi by 2-0, with Brian Mwila being one of them scorers for BESTONE. BESTONE, we have seen different performances from BESTONE. Today they look amazing, tomorrow they look awful, so we do not know which BESTONE will turn up on the day against Indeni. And Dabi Chilufya, BESTONE is his former side. I think he want to put one past his former employers. If you look at this game, I think it will just end in a draw.
Closing the day today is Chambeshi, who will be hosting Power Dynamos. An interesting encounter for me as well, Augustine. Are we seeing the Power Dynamos that has been of, I don't know, they are here, or we are seeing a Chambeshi that will be very, very hard to crack?
I think it's always an interesting game when Power Dynamos visit Chambeshi. I think it's one of those games when Chambeshi were coming into the Super League. These are the games they looked up to say, we want Power Dynamo to play teams like Power Dynamos, because that's why you are in the Super League. You play these prestigious sides like Power Dynamos, and Power Dynamos, they had a slow start to the season. Now they have appointed Mwenyachi Pepo. He went in there, stabilized their defense, because they were leaking in a lot of goals, Power Dynamos, but now they look a little bit solid. They play more direct football. I think one boy who has impressed me the most, I think, has been Joshua Mutale. They call him Budo. He's very, very intelligent lad. He plays in those small holes and he makes things happen for Power Dynamos. Him and Godfrey Ngwenya have been very, very instrumental for Power Dynamos. I think their back four now looks a little bit stable, with Paul Banda on the right, Luka Chamanga on the left, with Faustin Bakodira and White Manamba or Makuburi at the heart of defense. They've looked a little bit solid. They just need to start getting away with victories. I think they have struggled away from home, Power Dynamos. The last time they went away from home, they played Red Arrows. They looked like they were playing for a point. They sat back and soaked up the pressure. But against the Chambeshi side, who are lacking in confidence, I think this is a very, very good opportunity for Power Dynamos to just come out of that relegation zone and get the 3 points in Chambeshi, and I feel they'll win it by 1-0.
Tomorrow, the 21st of November, Sunday, we've got some big gun games. We've got at 15 hours, we've got Zanaco hosting Kafue Celtic that is at the Sunset Stadium. We are seeing a Zanaco that has been, like Angorapson is always saying, neither here nor there. A Zanaco team that has that is from being beaten by Ngwazi, and they are going into this game to play Kafue Celtic that was also beaten by Green Buffaloes. How interesting is this fixture?
I think it's interesting because if you look at Zanaco, I think they haven't been playing very, very well this season. And on the other hand, Kafue Celtic have been playing some beautiful football. They have been one of those sides that are very, very attack-minded. And coming up against Zanaco, I think they will be motivated, knowing that we are playing a team which is representing Zambia in continental football, one of the powerhouses of Zambian football. Albert Kangwanda, things didn't happen for him at Zanaco. He needs to prove a point in this game against his former employers. I think it will be one of those games. If you look at it on the Zanaco side of things, they do not care how a win will come. They just want to win this game. Even if it's an ugly 1-0 victory, I think it will be very, very welcome at Sunset, because the confidence and the morale is really, really low at the moment. Kelvin Kaindu is gone in there. We thought he was going to improve things, but I think Zanaco have been taking steps backwards, if I have to be honest, under Kelvin Kaindu. He needs to prove that he's a top coach in Zambian football, because he's been getting this top top jobs, but he's been winning nothing. So we need to see Kelvin kind of come up and start producing results, because managements are giving him having faith in him. He needs to repay that faith, and he needs to start getting these results.
We've got at 15 hours Augustine tomorrow as well. Kansanshi Dynamo is hosting Prison Lepers. That's at Independence Stadium. And again at 15 hours we've got Tinkana versus Green Eagles. That's at Tinkana Stadium, Pachilata. And we've got Zesco United hosting Forest Rangers. Who, if we were to say cover these games, Augustine, which game would you cover the most?
I think the interesting game would be the Ndola Derby. I think Forest Rangers against Zesco United. It has always been an interesting fixture. You do not know where it will go up until the 90 minutes. I think Zesco United haven't had the perfect of starts to the season. I think they are there for the taking. If you ask me, Forest Rangers can go into this game being very, very brave and getting one over their Ndola rivals. Zesco United, I think in these games, that's where you see teams like Zesco United struggling, because most of their players were on international duty, and there is a matter of traveling involved. So there is a little bit of fatigue, and if you are Forest Rangers, you'll be looking at this game and say it has come at the right time, and Forest Rangers are coming from a back of a victory. They're in the rhythm. The momentum is with them, and they could just surprise Zesco United, and this would be the surprise result of the weekend. Forest Rangers can just beat Zesco United at Alev Manasa Stadium.
Anyway, the table going into game week 12, because today we are having, this week in short, we are having games, that's week 12 games, but going into week 12 games, the table is as follows. Maybe let me just give a brief. We've got Green Buffaloes, who are standing at position number 1 with 25 points, and we've got Nkwazi, who are in second position with 22 points, and we've got Beautycon, who is on position number 3 with 17 points, and Green Eagles with 16 points. And coming into the relegation zone, we've got teams like Indedi, who are trailing at 11 points. We've got Power Dynamos, who are trailing at 10 points, and we've got Lusaka Dynamos, who are trailing at 10 points, and we've got Chambeshi, who are trailing at 8 points. Augustine, both Dynamo teams struggling this season.
Yeah, but I think Power Dynamos are on the right path. Lusaka Dynamos are neither here nor there. I think they are the ones that look to be very, very deep in trouble. I think Power Dynamos this weekend, they'll be out of the relegation waters and try and push up mid-table.
Are we seeing Green Buffaloes maintaining this position till the end of the season?
I think till the end of the season, I think it's going to be very tricky, because I think if you look at the league, the way the league is set up, I think you need to pick up maximum points and put a lot of points on the board in the first round, because second round it's always tricky, because everyone at that point is realistically fighting for something. It's either they're fighting to stay up, they're fighting to get into the top 4, they're fighting to win the league title. So second round games are always very tricky, and GBFC at the minute, they're doing the right things, they're doing their job, they're getting as much points as they can in the first round, because now you realize you are in week 12 now. A lot of teams now slowly but surely starting to find the right formula, the right formations, like right systems, right personnel. Coaches have been changed, so it becomes more tough in the second round. We'll see even goals will reduce a little bit, because teams will be very, very cautious. They will be realistically looking at the points and trying to see where they will end come the end of the season. But GBFC, with the way they have started and the way they are as a team, they are very, very organized. They are more of a force. They work together. It's very interesting to see that GBFC, they are still unbeaten, the only unbeaten side in the league, and that didn't come easily. It took a lot of hard work and team effort to reach where they have reached. If they continue on the right path, I feel GBFC may be just playing continental football, because they are one of the best sides currently in the league.
EPA is also back today, and we are having some interesting fixture games where we are going to see our own one Papa Patson Daka with his lads, the Leicester City, hosting Chelsea, an encounter that's kickstarting the EPL today. That's at 14:30. Augustine, are we foreseeing Patson Daka starting the game, or he'll be a second option?
I think it's very, very tricky when it comes to Patson Daka at Leicester with the way Brendan Rodgers sets up his team. I think ever since we saw Adimolo Lookman return from injury, Patson Daka hasn't played the minutes in the league. He's now 90 minutes on the bench because Lookman is back in the picture. He's probably third or fourth choice at Leicester. Patson Daka, it's very, very tough for him, but he's always given that chance in the Europa League, and he's been doing very well in that regard. And going into this game against Chelsea, it's going to be very, very tricky, a tight game. Chelsea do not give away a lot of goals. They are a very, very solid side. Leicester City, if they eventually start searching for a goal in maybe 70th minute, probably they will look to Patson Daka to try and help them get a goal against a Chelsea side, which will be very, very difficult to play. But I just hope Brendan Rodgers gives him a chance to play this afternoon.
Steven Gerrard having his first match for the day, his first official English Premier League match as a manager, and they'll be hosting Brighton and Hove Albion, but unfortunately Mwepu won't be part of the team and the selection due to injury. How interesting will be this fixture? Both teams so eager for points and very hungry for goals.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting encounter. Two very, very promising young managers in the dugouts. I think for Brighton they've got Graham Potter, and Aston Villa have got Steven Gerrard. I think these are managers who know only one way of playing football, and that's attacking football. I think so. It's going to be an interesting encounter at the Villa Park. I think what a way to start your managerial career in England for Steven Gerrard against a Brighton side who have been very, very, very consistent with their performances. They've been doing very well. I think one of their key players has been Cucurella, who they signed from Getafe. I think he's provided the width playing as a wing back. They're going up against a Villa side who lost Jack Grealish in the summer. Did they invest their money wisely? Yes, they brought in Leon Bailey from Bayer Leverkusen. They brought in Matthew Buendia, who hasn't done very well. If you have to be honest, they brought in Danny, who scored goals for fun that season, but it hasn't worked for whatever reason for these players. And Steven Gerrard will hope to get the best out of these players, because if you remember, Dean Smith played with a back five, but now Steven Gerrard will probably go with a back four with Tyrone Mings at the heart of defense, maybe probably partnering Twenzebe or Konsa. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out, but I feel Villa may just get a victory against Brighton.
And just a quick one due to time, we've got other fixtures. We've got Burnley, who will be hosting Crystal Palace, and we've got Newcastle United that will be hosting Brentford, and we've got Norwich City who will be hosting Southampton, and we've got Watford who will be hosting Manchester City, who is neither here nor there. Boring and Grabson's team. And we've got Wolverhampton who will be hosting West Ham United, and we've got the last game of the day where we'll see Liverpool hosting Arsenal.
I think this is probably the biggest test for Arsenal they have had in recent weeks. They have been on a very, very good form. I think they haven't lost in more than 10 games now, Arsenal. I think a game against Liverpool at Anfield, you always relish these games because they promise us goals. For us, the neutrals, it's going to be an interesting game. But Liverpool will be without Bobby Firmino, who is a doubt for this game because he sustained an injury. And if you look at the way Liverpool play, that guy is very, very vital in the way they play, Bobby Firmino. But they have got a straight swap with Jota, who straight come into the lineup. Arsenal defense will be put under pressure. This is now when we'll see how far this Arsenal defense has improved. The likes of Ben White and Gabriel, they will be put to a very, very stern test at Anfield, but they are very, very a brave young side Arsenal. I think Mikel Arteta, you can see what he's trying to do. I think he's a set kind of guy like the way Makenga has been doing it at Ngwazi. He's never scared to drop the big players if they're not happening. You saw Aubameyang was sitting on the bench because he wasn't performing. We see Nicolas Pepe starting on the bench. We see Lacazette starting on the bench because he trusts these young players, and you see the steps that Emile Smith-Rowe has taken. Bukayo Saka, I think Lukong, I think that was probably one of their best signings in the summer. I think Arsenal are on the right path, and a game against Liverpool will be a very, very good test. If Arsenal lose it, do not lose it heavily. I think you need to lose it with decency so that you keep this confidence going. Another impressive signing for Arsenal was Ramsdale. He was questioned. He got Bournemouth relegated. He got the team which got relegated last season, Sheffield United, sorry, got Sheffield relegated. So there were a lot of question marks with him coming to Arsenal. Was he the right guy? I think he has come in and is putting Bent Leno on the bench. Another brave decision by Mikel Arteta. It's going to be a tricky encounter at Anfield, but I feel Liverpool will just be too strong for the Gunners.
Due to time, Augustine, your final remarks as we close the show.
I think interesting encounter at Woodlands, Edwin Mboela Stadium, Napsa Stars taking on Lumana Radiants. I think these are teams who are playing in the Super League last season, and they are now sitting first and third in the table respectively, with Napsa leading the log Trident, then Lumana Radiants. It's going to be an interesting encounter. They have all lost 2 games in the season, but Lumana Radiants and doing part has been the draws. I think it's going to be an interesting encounter this afternoon at Edwin Mboela Stadium in the National League, and we just love to thank all the viewers out there that tuned in to watch this show. We appreciate your support. We are always humbled and grateful for you tuning in into this show, and would like to thank the entire production team for making this possible, and we just hope to see you next week.
As we end the show, hopefully we'll see a different Barcelona tonight as they host Espanyol, with Juan Xavi having his first game as a Barcelona manager tonight. And like Augustine said, we thank our viewers for staying tuned and for all those who gave us the calls. But on behalf of the whole entire production team, that's Elijah Chifita, not forgetting Isaac upstairs, and Pastor Moses and Victoria Silva for giving us this platform to give you nothing but the best in terms of the sports. And don't go away, stay glued, because Amazing Katamanda is coming on your screens with the weekly gospel show. See you next week. We're out.